I never planned to join the world of dating apps. After my last relationship ended, a classic tale of it's not you, it's me, my best friend Dave insisted I needed to get back out there. His solution? Downloading every dating app known to mankind onto my phone while I was in the bathroom during our weekly pizza night. By the time I returned, my phone was buzzing with notifications like a swarm of digital bees. Trust me, Dave said, mouthful of pepperoni. This is how everyone meets nowadays. What's the worst that could happen? Oh, Dave. Sweet, naive Dave. The fortune teller. I never expected my first dating app experience to involve tarot cards and a crystal ball, but Sarah was full of surprises. Her profile had seemed normal enough. Yoga instructor, dog lover, enjoys hiking. What could go wrong? We met at a cozy cafe downtown, and things started promisingly. She had this ethereal quality about her, with flowing scars and jingling bangles that made soft music whenever she moved. But halfway through her lavender oat milk latte, she pulled out a deck of tarot cards from what seemed to be a Mary Poppins-esque bottomless purse. I hope you don't mind, she said, already shuffling the deck with practiced hands. But I always do a reading on first dates. It helps me see if we're compatible. Before I could respond, she was laying cards across our table, drawing curious glances from nearby patrons. Each card came with an increasingly dramatic gasp or concerned The Tower, she whispered, looking genuinely worried. And reverse death. Oh dear. Is that bad? I asked, wondering if I should be updating my will. The cards say you're harboring a deep secret, she declared, leaning forward until her crystal pendant nearly dipped into my coffee. Are you sure you're not secretly married? Or perhaps you're a Capricorn pretending to be a Gemini? I nearly choked on my coffee. I think the cards might need recalibrating, I managed to say. But Sarah was already reaching into her bag again, this time producing a small crystal ball. Let's double-check, she said with complete seriousness. The next 30 minutes involved her reading my palm, analyzing my aura, and attempting to contact my spirit guides. By the time she pulled out a pendulum to check my chakras, even the barista was invested in my apparent spiritual crisis. We didn't have a second date, but Sarah did predict I would meet someone special in the next lunar cycle, and that I should beware women wearing red shoes on Thursdays. I'm still waiting on that one, and I've developed an irrational habit of checking women's footwear on Thursdays. The amateur food critic, then there was Madison, who described herself as a foodie in her profile. Looking back, I should have been suspicious of anyone who used the phrase curated dining experiences in their bio, but hindsight is 20/20. I suggested we try the new Italian place downtown, thinking it would be a safe choice. I had no idea I was about to experience a 3-hour masterclass in food criticism combined with an impromptu photography session. Madison arrived 15 minutes early to assess the ambient lighting conditions and had already interviewed the host about the chef's background by the time I arrived. She wore a black turtleneck that screamed serious critic and carried a tote bag that would prove to contain an arsenal of food critic equipment. The evening began with a detailed analysis of the water. Yes, the water. Notice the mouthfeel, she said, swishing it around like a sommelier. The restaurant clearly uses a reverse osmosis filtration system, but I detect a slightly mineral undertone that suggests they're trying too hard to replicate European tap water. I nodded, pretending I could taste anything beyond. Well, water. What followed was a symphony of food criticism unlike anything I'd ever experienced. Madison photographed every dish from multiple angles, using a collapsible light diffuser she pulled from her bag. She took detailed notes on her phone, occasionally pulling out a small ruler to measure the exact dimensions of each ravioli. She interrogated our waiter about the exact origin of the olive oil, down to the specific grove in Italy where the olives were harvested. The poor man looked increasingly nervous with each question, especially when she asked about the emotional state of the chickens that laid the eggs used in the pasta. The pasta itself became a source of intense drama when she sent it back, declaring it 2 degrees past al dente. She then proceeded to give me a lengthy lecture on the proper way to twirl spaghetti. You're losing valuable sauce distribution with that technique, she said, watching me eat with disapproval. Here, let me show you. She reached across the table and attempted to demonstrate proper fork rotation techniques with my dinner, her ruler occasionally making an appearance to ensure optimal twirl diameter. The final straw came when she pulled out a small digital scale to weigh her tiramisu, muttering something about portion consistency standards. I later saw her Yelp review, 3 pages long with diagrams, cross-referenced with the Italian restaurant standards of 1962, and including a detailed analysis of the acoustic properties of the dining room. She ended the date by presenting me with a detailed scorecard of my dining companion skills. I scored poorly in fork-tine alignment, but apparently showed promising potential in breadbasket navigation. The aspiring influencer Katie's profile had warned me she was kind of a big deal on social media, but I wasn't prepared for what that meant in practice. Her follower count was listed right below her name, updated in real time through some app I'd never heard of. The problems began before we even met. She sent me a detailed mood board for our date, including suggested color schemes for my outfit and preferred camera angles for my face. There was a PDF involved, with chapters. When I arrived at the restaurant, I found her in an intense negotiation with the maitre d' about table placement. Our originally assigned table was apparently suffering from suboptimal lighting conditions for her Instagram aesthetic. "Hey guys," she chirped into her phone as soon as we sat down. "I'm here with... What was your name again?" "Right, Mike. And we're having the most amazing time." This was 15 minutes in, while I was still trying to order an appetizer, and marked the beginning of what would become a full-scale social media broadcast. Throughout dinner, she went live on various platforms, each with its own unique content strategy. Instagram got the food photos, TikTok got the cute couple moments, and YouTube was apparently getting a full restaurant review. Her followers kept sending suggestions for what we should do next, turning our date into some sort of crowdsourced reality show. Every dish required a full photo shoot, complete with multiple outfit changes she pulled from a large bag that I'm convinced was secretly a portal to a full wardrobe department. She even had a small ring light that she set up on the table, which she referred to as her portable sunshine. "Can you move your head slightly to the left?" she asked during the main course. "You're blocking my good angle, and my followers are very particular about proper frame composition." The evening peaked when she tried to orchestrate a spontaneous romantic moment for her TikTok, complete with scripted dialogue she wanted me to memorize. The script included stage directions and suggested emotional beats. There was a notation for when to tastefully tear up. I drew the line when she suggested we reenact our first meeting outside the restaurant for her YouTube channel. Apparently, the original meeting didn't have enough emotional impact, and she wanted to try it again with better lighting and a more dramatic entrance. The date ended with her filming an outro for her vlog, complete with a teaser for a potential second date that I'm pretty sure was already being storyboarded by her content team, the competitive athlete Emma's profile mentioned. She enjoyed staying active, which seemed great since I like to keep fit too. Her photos showed her smiling at the finish line of various marathons, but they didn't capture the intensity one was about to encounter. What she didn't mention was her pathological need to turn everything into a competition. Everything. Even breathing could become an endurance sport in Emma's world. Our date was supposed to be a casual walk in the park that quickly devolved into an impromptu Olympic qualifying event. "I bet I can reach that tree faster than you," she said moments after we met. Before I could respond, she was sprinting away in heels, leaving me to wonder if this was some new dating strategy I'd missed out on. This set the tone for the entire afternoon. Everything became a contest. Who could throw stones further across the pond? Who could name more bird species? Who could eat their ice cream cone faster? She even tried to turn our conversation into a speed-talking competition, rattling off her life story in what felt like world record pace. I learned about her 3 degrees, 12 marathons, and entire family history in approximately 47 seconds. The breaking point came when she challenged me to see who could do more push-ups in the middle of the park. As I watched her drop down onto the grass in her dress, I realized this might not be the match for me. But of course, I couldn't just leave. That would mean forfeiting, and apparently, there was a point system for the date that she'd been secretly maintaining. By the end of our 2 hours together, we had competed in impromptu versions of speed walking, cloud shape identification, park bench jumping, squirrel spotting, leaf catching, memory contests about random passers-by's outfits. Bird call imitation, she ended the date by presenting me with a detailed spreadsheet of my performance metrics, complete with graphs and projected improvement trajectories. I ranked moderately competitive, but needed work on my spontaneous challenge acceptance response time. Hashtag the time traveler Rachel seemed perfectly normal until she casually mentioned she was technically from the year 2185. This revelation came after I commented on her unique style, which included a metallic jumpsuit and what she called chronologically appropriate attire. "Oh, this old thing," she said, smoothing down her shimmering outfit. "This is actually quite conservative wear. I mean, when I'm from, you should see what we wear to formal events." The first red flag should have been when she asked if our restaurants still use primitive thermal cooking methods or had upgraded to molecular gastronomy pods. She seemed genuinely disappointed by the regular menu. She spent the entire date speaking in future tense about current events and giving me helpful warnings about upcoming market crashes. "You might want to invest in quantum potato futures," she whispered conspiratorially. "Trust me on this one." She refused to eat her food with regular utensils, instead pulling out what looked like a modified spork that she claimed was standard dining equipment in 2185. It appeared to be made of aluminum foil and plastic, but she insisted it was smart titanium with embedded nutrition sensors. The date reached peak surreality when she tried to pay with what she called universal credits, and seemed genuinely surprised when the restaurant wouldn't accept them. "Oh, right," she said, smacking her forehead. "The great currency unification doesn't happen until 2157. My bad." I ended up covering the bill while she explained how currency would become obsolete after the rise of the great digital consciousness. She was very insistent that I should start preparing for this by teaching my houseplants basic coding skills. As we left the restaurant, she gave me a series of very specific predictions. A pigeon would evolve to become president in 2163. Coffee would gain sentience in 2198. My great-granddaughter would invent something called a temporal waffle maker. Tuesday would eventually be renamed Zingle Day. She ended the date by trying to give me her contact details in what she called psychic frequency numbers, and warned me not to call before the invention of telepathic telecommunications in 2162. Hashtag the DIY guru Patricia's profile showcased her as a crafting enthusiast and upcycling expert. I thought this meant she enjoyed making things as a hobby. I was wrong. So very wrong. She showed up to our coffee date, carrying a large tote bag full of craft supplies, which should have been my first warning. Before I could even say hello, she had covered our table in glitter, yarn, and what appeared to be recycled bottle caps. "I thought we could make friendship bracelets while we chat," she announced, already threading a needle. Nothing helps you get to know someone like collaborative crafting. What followed was less of a date and more of a mandatory arts and crafts session. Every conversation topic somehow led back to DIY projects. Me. "So, what do you do for work?" Her. "I'm an accountant, but let me show you how to turn old tax forms into origami swans." Me. "Do you have any siblings?" Her. "2 brothers. Speaking of which, here's a photo frame I made from their old hockey sticks." The coffee shop staff watched in horror as our table transformed into a makeshift craft station. She taught me how to knit with coffee stirrers, macchia wallet from used napkins, turn sugar packets into miniature art installations, weave a decorative coaster from straw wrappers. By the end of our 2-hour date, I had glitter in places I didn't know could attract glitter, a handmade bracelet that appeared to be constructed from coffee-sleeved cardboard and hope, and a newfound appreciation for store-bought items. Hashtag the method actor Jenny's profile mentioned she was an aspiring actress, but I didn't realize this meant every moment of her life was potential material for her craft. She arrived at the restaurant already in character as what she called a more authentic version of herself. "I'm currently exploring the deeper motivations of a woman going on a first date in the post-digital age," she explained, while doing vocal exercises between sips of water. "Don't mind me if I occasionally break into monologues about the human condition." And break into monologues she did. Our appetizer was accompanied by her passionate rendition of a self-written piece about the emotional complexity of choosing between soup and salad. The main course featured an impromptu performance piece about the symbolic meaning of pasta shapes. She insisted on ordering her food in different accents, each representing a different aspect of her personality. The waiter handled it remarkably well, especially when she requested her dessert in interpretive dance. At one point, she needed to access some raw emotions and spent 10 minutes recalling sad scenes from Disney movies. A nearby child started crying when she reached the part about Mufasa. Hashtag the plot twist, just when I was about to give up on dating apps entirely. I matched with Jamie. Her profile was refreshingly normal, and our first date was wonderfully uneventful. We got coffee, had a great conversation, and did once have to consult tarot cards or participate in impromptu athletic competitions. As we were leaving the cafe, she turned to me with a mischievous smile. "You know," she said, "I have some pretty crazy dating app stories myself. Want to hear about the guy who brought his pet iguana to dinner?" And that's how I learned that sometimes the best dates are the ones where the crazy stories are just that, stories to share and laugh about together. We ended up trading dating disaster stories for hours, each one more unbelievable than the last. Hashtag epilogue. The learning experience looking back at these experiences, I can't help but appreciate each one for what it was, a unique chapter in my journey through modern dating. While they might not have led to lasting relationships, they certainly made for memorable evenings and valuable lessons about expecting the unexpected. Thanks to these dates, I now know how to properly twirl spaghetti according to international standards, can do push-ups in formal wear, have a fairly good understanding of what the year 2185 might look like, own several handcrafted items of questionable utility, have developed an impressive knowledge of tarot card meanings, know more about social media algorithms than I ever wanted to, can recite Shakespeare. While doing burpees, Dave still takes credit for downloading those dating apps, claiming that, at the very least, I've gotten some great stories out of it. He's not wrong, but I've also banned him from touching my phone during pizza night. As for what's next in my dating journey, well, according to Sarah's crystal ball, I'm due for a meaningful encounter with someone wearing mismatched socks during the next Mercury retrograde. But until then, I'll keep swiping, hoping, and keeping my emergency craft supply kit handy, just in case. Thanks for watching. Support with a like and a subscription.